Hey, what's up guys, back today with another story. Today's story is a little different than any of the other stories because this story is literally the title, as in quarantine stories. It is literally a story that happened in quarantine. As a matter of fact, it happened last night. This story is just about my family completely losing it. Like, this quarantine has put a toll on us, and last night everyone was just freaking out and like huge meltdown from everyone, including myself. Even I had a meltdown. Let's just get into the story and I'll explain everything. So a little backstory for this story. When I heard about the quarantine and everything that was going to happen, I decided to come back to Santa Fe because I figured here in Santa Fe I have a lot more stuff to do to keep myself entertained. I can hang out with my little brothers, mess around with them. I have a basketball court. I have so much stuff that I can do here as compared to in Albuquerque. I don't really have that much stuff to do. Because I was coming to Santa Fe, there's gonna be no one staying with our cat in Albuquerque. And so we decided that I'd bring the cat home with me to Santa Fe. We've had this cat for about 1.5 years now, and I'm gonna be honest, she's not the nicest cat. Unless you know her, unless she's familiar with you, like myself, then she's pretty nice sometimes. Even it's shaky on that. It depends what mood she's in. Sometimes she'll let you pet her, and sometimes she'll just bite your face. So yeah, I brought her back to Santa Fe and she's been staying in my room where she can't get out because she's familiar with me and she's not familiar with my family at all, and she's really mean to them. She acts like I've never seen her act before. She'll hiss, attack. She's on edge all the time. So I have her in my room where she can be calm and stuff. But during the day, I like to let her out, let her explore the house, see what she does. And like I said, most of the time she's just on edge. She looks really scared and really mean. Most of all, she's really mean. And then we like to bring our dogs in at night, and so before we bring the dogs in, I'll have to get her from wherever she is and I'll put her back in my room and close up my room. The dogs and the cat, they don't like each other, so it's better to keep them apart. They're also practicing social distancing just like us. Last night, for whatever reason, she was being even more evil than ever, and she just was not letting me grab her and put her in my room. She was hiding on high places where I had to reach, and I couldn't reach her, and she was hissing at me and scratching me, and then she would hide in corners, and I was oh my god, this is impossible. What I thought was gonna be a quick I'll grab her and put her in my room ended up being a 30-minute ordeal of me just getting super frustrated and trying to get her out and getting scratched and stuff. I was on my last nerve. With all that, trying to get the cat on top of my little sister bugging me bad. She was trying to help, which I thank her for, but she wasn't helping at all. She was just annoying me. Sorry, but that's what was happening, and I was trying my best not to go off on her or get mad at her. And actually, before any of that had happened, I was next door at my cousin's house with Michael and Matthew, and we were playing video games with him. My mom had called me and told me to come get the cat. So I told him, alright guys, hold on, I'll be right back. This will take a minute. I gotta put the cat in my room. Like I said, it ended up being a 30-minute thing. So Matthew had come back to our house from next door. When he walked in the front door, he looked at me and he was dude, was taking so long. And that, because I was on my last nerve, the way he said it, I guess, just set me off, and I just went off on him. I was yelling at him. I had a meltdown, like I said. So I was the first victim of the meltdown in the household. I just went off on Matthew for no reason at all. He got all sad and mad and was alright, whatever, jerk, and he just left. I felt bad, but at the same time I was you don't know what I'm going through right now. We ended up just letting the dogs come in. My mom's the cat will be fine, she'll probably run to the room, whatever. So I'll go back next door and go play video games. They're waiting for you. So I went back to next door, and then I'd say 10 minutes later, maybe, probably even less than that, I get a call from my mom. She's come get your cat right now, hurry. So I ran over, and from the front yard I could hear yelling. So I already knew. I was oh my god, what's going on? So I went inside, and my dad was yelling. He was freaking out, and my mom just looked at me and she's your dad's losing it, hurry up and get your cat. And I was okay. And it turned out that my cat was perched on top of something where if you walk by, she might jump and attack you. So my dad couldn't get by where he was trying to get by, and I didn't see this because I wasn't there while all that was happening when my dad was freaking out. But apparently what Matthew told me was that my dad legitimately put on a boxing glove and was ready to just sock my cat in the face. When I tell you that my dad, a full-grown man, had on a boxing glove ready to knock this cat the fuck out, you have to believe me, because I am not making this up. I don't even know how, I couldn't come up with that in my head. If I was to write a funny story, I couldn't make this up. To me, that's just so funny. The thought of him with a boxing glove on, if this cat gets any closer, I'm decking this bitch. He actually didn't end up punching the cat. It's all good. No animal abuse in the house. What ended up happening was I ran over there. The cat actually just let me grab her. During that 30 minutes earlier when I was trying to get her, I had picked her up at one point and I was trying to take her to my room, and she scratched me and bit me pretty bad to the point where I was and I let her go. So I already knew that she was going to do the same thing. And from from where she was when I got her this time, I was all the way across the house from my room. So when I picked her up, I was getting it. I was like sprinting as fast as I could because I knew that she was going to attack me, which she was. And like I said, my dad was already on edge. When I ran by, he was like, move, move. He was like yelling at everyone to move. And that caused my little sister to like shove Matthew and be like, move, move, and like shove him. And that caused Matthew to be like, dude, Mo, what are you doing? And that caused my dad to see that. And he started yelling at my little sister, and him yelling at her caused her to have her own meltdown. Like a full-on little kid meltdown, crying, screaming, not being able to control like what was going on, just ah! And then there was me sprinting with my cat while she's like biting and clawing at me. And it made it worse that when I ran through the living room, she saw the dog, so that made her even more scared, and she was scratching me even harder. And I'm sure it also didn't help that I was like shaking her like that because I was like sprinting. So then I finally got her to my room and I just threw her in and I just closed it up. And as you guys can see, I hope, I have a good amount of scratches and bites right there, and that's from her, from that whole ordeal. So I was the first meltdown trying to get this cat and just going off on Matthew. My dad was the second meltdown with like a boxing glove on, just yelling at everyone, ready to knock this cat's lights out. And then the third meltdown was my little sister, who had gotten yelled at and was really tired because it was pretty late. And then she like started crying and screaming and throwing a complete fit. All that caused my mom to be like super stressed out and just go straight to bed. And I don't know if it was the cat specifically that like caused all this mayhem. I mean, it was, but also I think the quarantine has a part to do in it, with us just being stuck inside all day, every day. We like to spend time with each other. We're a pretty close, happy, loving family, but this much time together is just like leaving a huge toll on us, to the point where like my dad puts on boxing gloves and is just ready to like knock anyone out. So yeah, that's my quarantine story for today. Moral of the story? I don't really think there is a moral to this story. It was kind of weird. But honestly, this kind of stuff happens to my family and myself like all the time. This is just a like story that I decided to tell because I thought it'd be funny for quarantine. But even like not during quarantine, shit like this happens to my family all the time. So I'm pretty used to it. But yeah, this was a pretty funny one. At least personally to me, I thought it was pretty funny. It's not often that you see your dad with a boxing glove on, ready to punch a cat straight in the face. So yeah, I have more stories on the way. I had a few requests. I had requests for Halloween stories and poop. I don't know if that was a serious request, but if it was, I do have poop stories. If you want to hear them, let me know. Anyways, yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.